From coast to coast, I'm your host, Palma, and she loves it. And tonight's guest is the Vice President of Global Marketing, Education, and Business Development for Pivot Point International. Please welcome Kevin Cameron. How are you tonight? Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Palma. Nice to see you. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it very much.
Of course, we're so excited to chat with you tonight. We have so many people watching, and please, to all our viewers, please, if there's any questions or comments, please leave them for us here and we will get to them. Kevin would love to answer all your questions tonight. Oriac, thank you so much for having us to do this wonderful interview with Kevin. Now, Kevin,
okay,
I have creeped you on your social media, and I might have slipped into your DM just to say hello. Now, I really want to know, who's the man behind the innovation? Tell us.
Who's the man behind the innovation? Well, for us at Pivot Point, for example, the innovation is all coming from the heritage of the organization. From Leo Passage. The starting of Pivot Point is really about challenging the status quo. It's about being the first to invent things, being the first to deliver an added value and a different level of engagement for our learners. So I don't know who the man behind the innovation is. The organization thinks as one. My job is to be the guide and mentor sometimes, but the organization is what drives really everything at the end of the day, and the way people think at Pivot Point.
Absolutely, Kevin. Thanks for that. But I want to know just a little bit about your background. Where did you come from? Like, I'm daughter of a barber from a little corner in the city of Toronto.
Right.
And I want to know, where did Kevin come from?
Kevin came from a little village in Atlantic Canada, in New Brunswick, a little small village of around 500 or so people, and a place where men don't become hairdressers normally, but this one did. And it was a great childhood, great upbringing, and it was really, really good. But I always knew I could be more creative probably than I was at that age, and as a young person, and sort of started from that kind of humble little village.
I love that. It really gives, the next generation of hair artists an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I'm from a little town myself. And if Kevin from 500 people in a little town can become the vice president of all these wonderful opportunities at Pivot Point International, I mean, that gives us hope, especially coming out of a pandemic. I mean, that put a lot of fear even into myself. I'm very fortunate to work in my father's barbershop. And even though, the pandemic led him to retirement, little shops are not getting those opportunities to move forward. And here you are, Kevin, in a position now in your life to say, look where I came from, look where it's led me. Now, what can I do to help the next generation? Right. Can you touch on those points of, as a salon owner, what is something you can do today, post-pandemic, to improve our business?
Sure. The beauty industry is so wide, and when you're deeply involved in it, of course, we're very much involved in schools and also with professionals as well. But the industry is so broad, and there's just so much opportunity. Sometimes, you can't see the forest for the trees, and the possibilities are so immense, and we try to communicate that to our young learners and also young salon owners and so on. Today, we're asked all the time, what can I do to improve my business? One is be inclusive. I didn't understand textured hair when I was a young stylist, nor did I work with textured hair in the salon for many years. I owned a salon in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And, today it's about inclusion. It's about really understanding the true facets of beauty. Beauty comes in all textures. It does not come in a skin tone. It comes in a textured hair, if you want to think about it like that. So today, often salons will say, what can I do? Well, I would say make sure that you advertise your business in a very inclusive way, be respectful, understand the right way to explain things, the right terminology that's client facing. We're spending a lot of time on that in our curriculum, getting it right. There's a new normal on how we should deal with that and how we should address people and so on and so forth. So the inclusiveness today of businesses the lack of is very limiting. But when a business is very inclusive, from aesthetics, barbering, or just a regular salon, it can be just amazing what can happen. Yeah. So
Kevin, the other day we had a great conversation in regards to that. And, coming, like I mentioned, coming from a background in a barber shop
sure.
and being a stylist myself, how do we change the industry in the sense of, I charge, let's say, $35 for a men's cut short hair and women's short hair at a whole other price point. How do we make that equal? How do we allow society to see that short hair is short hair regardless of your gender?
Right.
How do you, how can we start
Yeah,
to do
it's a great question. It's a fantastic question. I can tell you that the next generation of hairdressing education, beauty education, will have no gender. It'll be short, medium, and long, so to speak. There'll be no men's cuts, ladies' cuts. And the time has come. We see that in the US, in a lot of cities. We see the menu changing. Stylists are not quoting men's and women's. They're just
that?
quoting length and complexity, basically.
Right,
That has got to change. It's ridiculous. I always thought it was kind of ridiculous.
I
And
agree.
my barber friends spend a lot more time sometimes on their clients' hair than maybe a long layered haircut might take, in the salon. So it is time to change that, and stylists have to change it. Why should it be gender specific? It's kind
Right.
of ridiculous with what we know today and how we
Kevin,
think today.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
completely, yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
agree. When I was a little girl, my father on his business cards, it said the hair spot unisex.
Sure, sure.
How come
Yeah,
that disappeared? I mean, that's what, like, non-binary. It's unisex. It's no matter where you come from, it
yeah,
is one
yeah.
haircut and that's what you're getting. And that's the expertise, to give the hairstylist an opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, I would love to share with our audience tonight our commitment video from Pivot Point. Can you please tell us a little bit more about this video as it's playing?
Sure. We embarked on a mission about 3.5 years ago where we said we needed to question everything, and it all kind of goes back to when you are as impactful. Fortunately, and we are blessed to be as impactful as we are at Pivot Point. We understand our role, and we understand exactly what the problem is when it comes to inclusiveness and beauty education, and we understand also how to fix it. And we know we have the power to do that, to lead this transformation. So we are looking at everything. We look at everything that we put in writing, everything we put in video. We look at our models, the shapes, the sizes, what they represent, how we communicate, the pronouns, the terms, how we address certain services in the salon, and we look at everything, and we will drive that change as an organization. And certainly for me, before I retire, we're going to change the way we cut hair. Today we teach to cut hair on a white skinned mannequin, and we teach with straight hair. That's the first section you make on a haircut when you're in beauty school. Well, we also understand that a company like us, we created that madness because that's the way we've always done it. And we know that it's also very exciting to change that. So that's a mission that we have. And it's very personal to me as a stylist that we will change this and we will look at haircutting quite differently.
Absolutely. I mean, as I did earlier on Instagram, a little video introducing tonight, I said the change is coming. And I think it's time our industry it's ready for the change.
Yeah, it's like fashion, right? If you go to fashion design school, you will learn about fabric, right? You'll learn how to work with silk, and you'll learn how to work with satin, and you'll learn how to work with leather and jute and whatever. And hairdressing is very much like that. And it's the same with aesthetics. Skin is skin. And yes, it has different depths and different colors, but it's still skin first. And we should think of hair as this glorious fabric, right? That we can mold and shape in any way we like. So it's a very important part of the future for
Yeah,
us.
I always say hairstylists are like seamstresses.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually have a
Yeah.
bodice in my shop because I love to make hair art.
Mhm.
And we are seamstresses. I believe that hair should be tailored. These are the words that I've been, coming out from nowhere, but obviously Pivot Point's on top of this game because I'm not alone, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. I think as hair artists, we always sort of feel like the misfits. But
Yeah.
yeah, we are the future. We are fashion forward.
Mhm.
And I know the other day when we spoke, we used these words and they resonated with me.
Yeah, Palma, like with, for example, educational hair like mannequins. In
Yes,
the last couple of years, we developed different types of mannequins that had very unique curl patterns, and some have combination of curl patterns. And but in the past, when I was teaching, for a manufacturer or in the salon or wherever, we had to pre-prepare the curl pattern to show it to actually work on the mannequin. And this has been a problem. We've never had these, let's call them pre-prepared different scenarios of curl patterns and texture. And we started working on this about 2.5, 3 years ago. And now that is an important part of our portfolio. One size does not fit all.
right,
It's very important that we think like this first, about the humans. I always say,
right.
let's think about the humans, guys. Let's not think about what we've always done, because it doesn't really matter what we've always done.
Yeah.
It's what we are doing in the future, right? So.
Well, speaking of mannequins, you shared with me amazing videos of how they're made, and
Mhm.
what an appreciation I have for that. I'd love to share these videos, and here they are. Please tell us more about this.
Yeah, that's a funny video. It's the hackling. It's when all of the gathered hair is now hackled and put into lengths, which you'll see in a few moments. So it arrives in our factories, and of course, our hair is ethically sourced, and we only use a very select type of hair. So as it's hackled, you can see it gets into a single line straight. We then establish different lengths so that we can get it ready for hand implantation. And we take this very, very serious. It's a very important part of who Pivot Point is, and who are, as far as our team, we think about this every day. How do we ensure these ethics are there? The hair business is not always the most glamorous industry, and I think many stylists know that. For us, our factories, the way we roll, so to speak, is very important in our factories. If you were in China looking at our factories, you'd think you were in a North American factory. It's no different. This is an interesting video. This is the hand implantation. It takes about 8 hours to build a mannequin.
Wow.
And it's a labor of love. These are artisans with many years of experience. This lady actually in the video is one of the trainers of all the other artisans. And this hair is made. This is an air drying exercise that we have for long hair, so it's kept in the perfect condition. And we inspect the mannequins like you would inspect any product. So we take it very, very serious, and it's a true commitment of to Pivot Point, to the industry. And the ethics are super important for us. And we want to know where the hair come from. We want the ethical sourcing. We want, of course, ethical manufacturing. We want to treat our partners in our factories with respect. So,
Yeah,
and we are,
absolutely.
yeah, certified factories. So,
That's a true craftsmanship. I could
yeah,
sit there and watch that for
yeah,
hours.
most people don't understand. They don't even think about it, right? When they pull a mannequin out of a box and start to practice, they don't think about it, but it has been crafted by somebody who takes that exercise very serious, and they're very proud, and they're artisans. So you think of all the different kind of mannequins there are, right? They're all special in their own way, and they're all developed with a certain sense of pride and so on. So
So I love that we're talking about the mannequins, because I do have a question for you in regards to learning in person versus learning on YouTube. Can you share a bit about
yeah,
that with me?
absolutely. A video is not learning. Video is a video. Whatever a video is, it's entertainment. It's what we look at on social media all the time. It's not really core. It's not really core learning. Um, the pandemic brought forth a tremendous opportunity and awareness for remote learning and online learning, which a lot of stylists participated in. We were part of many amazing. We supplied mannequins to many of the major manufacturers for their online education, and we learned that education can be, and we knew it anyway from our own experience with learners, that digital education can be just as effective, but it's much more than a video. It's an interactive experience that you have with the content. And that is true learning today. And that comes with a certain instructional strategy. And a lot of people think, well, I'll just supply a bunch of videos. Well, they're just videos. there's not an interactivity that happens with the video, and there's not a facilitation and so on and so forth. So in person works, but and a good example is like in the future, you'll probably see even the manufacturer group, they will probably issue an online component to prepare the learners before they go to the large academy. So by the time they show up, they have all some prior experience and they kind of understand the thing. So they get that stuff finished, they get that sort of sorted, and then
Yeah.
when they arrive, they start actually practicing. So we will see that it'll be a combination of both. Digital education is wonderful if it's prepared well and executed well. But of course, in-person education is amazing as well. But the combination of the two is like when the magic happens.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. So
I'm definitely in that generation of, I came from hands-on to, learning all kinds of different techniques through educational videos and being able to continue to have both of them, which I still think is really important. Kevin, we do our job. We touch people for a living with our clothes on, and we're going to continue to do that.
of course we are.
So, I mean, that's my point. We touch people
Mhm.
physically. So, if we're learning, there has to be the physical aspect, correct?
Right, right. But if I'm learning a new color product, or I'm learning something that has a theoretical background, or maybe it's just the theory part of a,
Right.
let's say, product. I can learn that and I can grab, and that can be very sticky from a digital experience.
Yeah.
And it gives the learner time to think about it. It gives the learner time to review it. So, the step-by-step directions to a new color product can be delivered just as effective digitally as in person. The application maybe in the creativity and the passion comes, one-on-one, but there is a combination of both that can really happen in a really great way. You
Right.
know.
And you said the other night with Pivot Point, the students are seen.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a whole other thing. That's a strategy we started quite a few years ago, where we said in cosmetology, when aesthetics, barbering education, a learner should see themselves. And prior to that, the whole industry thought of a cosmetology textbook a certain way, or a barbering textbook, or whatever. What we said was, the learner, first of all, should see themselves in that book, and they should in the material, and they should see all the ethnic backgrounds, all the shapes and sizes of humans, and we really started to think like that when we put our materials together. It's a very important part of who we are today. We really take that very, very serious. I always use the example: we have a new nail product coming out, and years ago, everybody who built nail curriculum would look for piano fingers, so to speak, to perfect models, and yeah, exactly like yours, exactly. But fingers come in all shapes and sizes, Palma.
Yeah.
And today, when you look at our new materials, it's amazing. You see regular clients, you see regular nail pros, and that's very important to us. So that's part of this future, right? Of who the art, the industry we're living in. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Well, I always say if you are not seen, you cannot be heard.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right?
Well, that brings us to a whole other topic around the classroom. Like, the classroom in schools today, the classroom I believe even in shows and events, future will change dramatically. And certainly in schools, the schools that we partner with, they're highly digitalized. When the pandemic struck, we had about 98% of our schools, in North America specifically, were very digital savvy, and they handled it all very well. They really understood how to participate in remote education and so on and so forth. And age has nothing to do with being digitally centric. It is just a mindset. And today, digital education and digitalization is really easy to understand, and it's our job to make it that way, and to develop platforms that really work, for learners. Our industry is really flexible. We adapt to anything. We're creative and bring it on. That's kind of how we think, right?
Well, hashtag learn forward.
Everything is about learn forward.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I do really like how you said it's not about the age. And I know that I put myself sometimes in that
Mhm.
pocket where I'm like, wait a minute, I was taught hands on. How am I going to adapt to, learning on the computer or watching a video. But the tools are there. I believe companies that are developing programs for us to learn on the computer, there's support there.
Yeah.
And there's always someone that you can ask, how do I get to that point?
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
believe that that's what you've touched on. You're saying, look, there's an opportunity for all hairstylists, no matter at which level you're at, that you could still learn digitally. And
Yeah.
there's opportunities to going on to Pivot Point and learning from there. And lucky for us here at Oriac as well to have these outlets and these platforms for us to learn from. As a salon owner myself, after being shut down for over a year here in Toronto,
Mhm.
that is what led myself forward to be able to say, I'm coming back and I'm going to offer something I didn't offer before the pandemic, a
Yeah.
new skill that I learned digitally and was able to bring that into the salon. Can you tell me a little bit how you perceive salon owners in the sense of trying to get their staff to want to learn this way? Is there ways that this can happen for them?
Yeah, yeah, Palma, we have this, we internally, we have this saying, meet them where they are, right? And, I can give you so many examples. When we went live with our latest iteration of our digital platform, we looked at, for example, educators in schools. They could be mature, they could be my age, and we would go, oh, they'll have a difficult time with it. Well, some of those educators are the best at it because they just embrace it. It's kind of fun, it's interesting, and they feel great because they can handle it. Um, you know, s- Salon owners today, they really have to think about this combination of both in-person and live education. In-person education will always win. It will always be the most important because it's where we feel the fabric of the hair, we sense the passion. But the online component can be so specific to the style of learning. Sometimes a learner wants it very buttoned up and very strict and very structured. That's available online. But there are also many educators who are just talking about hair like we are, and their style of communication is different. They will find their learners as well. So digital allows for this diversity of delivery that we've never seen before. Even with our own materials, we're thinking, okay, does that delivery style meet the learner's needs? So we say meet them where they are, the kind of learner they are. And today, the classroom is full of, I always call them the learning characters, the many characters in the classroom. And today they all demand attention in the way that they want to learn. And that's the biggest step in the future for facilitation and education, is meeting them where they are and knowing how to be a coach as opposed to this person on stage directing. It has to be like that. I'll give you an example of a fun little story I had with a salon owner. They were talking about, teaching something like a bob, like a perfect bob. And today, and we'll see a lot more of this in the future. If you're not able to cut the perfect bob, and then what is perfect, right? The learner can just go www or whatever and find out exactly what maybe a better bob looks like. So you have to be very careful, and schools all over the world are experiencing this, not just in our industry. It's not so much about dictating what great looks like. It's about a conversation about what great could look like and what does not so great look like. And that's very different. And sometimes, salon owners, I was at a conference where I spoke recently, and some stylists were saying, nobody wants to come to education in my salon anymore. I can't get anybody to come in. I try to pay them and so on. And probably one of the main challenges is that, maybe some of the challenges are that the facilitator is talking at them as opposed to with them.
Right.
And the times have changed. It's really about, really looking at what, how does the room make the learning better? What's in the room, and how do you get people talking about what could be great, as opposed to dictating and being this classic facilitator. That's a big step for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
They want to be on stage. We call sage on the stage, and they want to say, this is exactly how you do it. And then you have somebody in the back corner who doesn't do that kind of hair and doesn't really speak to that type of client. They don't want to learn that way, maybe either. So, how should we handle that? We bring them into the conversation and hear their opinion. So it's a very different world today, and I guess it's kind of indicative of the generation, this
Yeah.
new generation. will learn the way they want to learn, basically.
Absolutely. I love that at Pivot Point, you have an opportunity for everyone, no matter which generation they're in. But we welcome the new generation and
Yeah.
we welcome the new way of learning. It is the learn hashtag forward, learn forward, because that is the truth. Now, I do have a question coming in from Shauna from Ottawa who
Okay.
wants to know, where
Mhm.
does Kevin see Pivot Point going in the future? And is there anything new coming up you can share with us?
We want to, as of course, as looking at cosmetology in general, we want to do some big moves and make some big impact in the future. We are always striving to be more inclusive and really make sure that our education reflects this inclusivity that's important. The industry, it will be this combination of in-person and digital, and it's really about developing, this very meaningful, not just state of the art, but very forward-thinking digital experience that a learner can have digitally, which accompanies, of course, this up close and personal education that's required as well. So that's kind of what we're always thinking about. What will the future look like? What will the learner be like? What's the generation like? We can't change the generation. The generation is who it is. The generation will make tremendous impact in the future just because they're very informed and they can inform themselves very easily. So we know that, and we have to work with that, and that's an important part of our future.
Well, we're really looking forward to it, Kevin. And as you mentioned, up close and personal, I would love to do a little quick fire ended questions with you.
Yeah.
And I always sort of love what can come out of these questions when they're asked.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you prepared? No
I
thinking,
am.
straight
No, well,
answers. Ready?
go for it.
Describe your career in one to two words.
Blessed, mentors, blessed, 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 blessed.
Love that. We can
Mhm,
hashtag
mhm.
that one as well. Red or white?
Red, definitely.
Yummy. Me too. Best mentor.
Best mentor. Oh my goodness. People I've worked with, Elizabeth Merck, my Redkin days. I can think of many. The Peter Mahoney in the Atlantic Canada region. There's been a lot. I can't. I don't know if I have a best mentor. I have a lot of them, but I'm very
I
appreciative
love
of
it. Love it.
them.
Favorite color?
Favorite blue. Absolutely.
Ooh, love it. I thought you were going to say the shade of black, like all us.
No, no, no. I'm no blue. Definitely.
I wear a light blush pink for
Yeah,
you just to
yeah,
break the palette.
yeah.
Favorite dream car?
Anything German, I have to say. Yeah, I love
Danke
cars.
schön. Danke
Yeah,
schön.
dog is
And one last question.
okay.
What do you wish for our industry for the future?
Inclusiveness, being very inclusive and being prideful of what we deliver to our clients and what we mean to what we mean to the world. I think sometimes we don't think about the contributions we make every day to people's lives, and I think that would be my wish for the industry, that we become more prideful of what we do.
That's absolutely beautiful. You just gave me shivers. That's the way to seal the deal right here on Oriac Live. Kevin, thank you so much for your wisdom and your beautiful knowledge you've shared with us right here tonight.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's great. Nice to
We'll see
chat
you
with you.
again soon.
Take care.
Bye.